Good morning, a warm welcome. This is Sage. You're watching 𝐾𝐤𝐴 TV live from Sydney, and this is the Global Markets Roundup show. And in today's show, we will explore the latest updates from the equity, currency and commodity markets from across the globe. The US markets turned positive on Thursday and investors digested data showing a 2-month high in unemployment claims as the country still grapples with the pandemic. And on the other hand, yields on safe haven assets such as US Treasuries seem to have eased. All three major US stock indexes were positive by mid-afternoon, and the Dow and S&P 500 fell earlier in the day in a number of the Americans filing for new claims for unemployment benefits. The dollar also rose after it had slid earlier in the trading session. The S&P 500 was up 0.20% and the Dow Jones rose 0.07%. The Nasdaq Composite gained 0.36% and the small cap Russell 2000 was down 1.55%. Looks like the investors took cues from the Labor Department's latest jobs data. It showed the unemployment benefits claims rose by 51,000 up to 419,000 in the week ended July 17th. This is the highest jump since May, and the figures exceeded the economists' expectations of 350,000. Moving on now to the stock performance. Technology and consumer discretionary stocks were the top performers, while financials and energy shares retreated in Thursday's session. 6 of the 11 critical segments of the S&P 500 remained in the green. The companies on the index are expected to give over 76% return year on year in the latest quarter. Another industry data showed that sales of previously owned houses rose by about 1% to 5.8 million units in June, indicating the housing supply crisis may be on the course of improvement. Around 88.5% of the 104 companies on the blue chip index reported better than expected profits in the second quarter, as per the Refinitiv data. Looking now at the crypto world, Coinbase Global Inc. declined 1.56% and Bitcoin gained 1.93% and Ethereum gained 3.44%. Now next in our show, we'll take a look at the futures and commodities markets. The gold futures were up 0.21%, silver increased 0.94%, while copper rose as well 1.56%. The Brent oil increased 0.04% and WTI crude was up 2.02%. And lastly, before the break, here are some of the updates on the bond markets. The 30-year Treasury bond yields were down 0.90%, while the 10-year bond yields decreased 0.42%. The US dollar futures index increased 0.10%. And this was the latest from the US markets. Now it's time for a short break, but please stay tuned. We'll be back soon to take a look at the European and the Asian markets. Crypto Talk by 𝐾𝐤𝐴. The crypto market has been red hot given the Bitcoin rally since the past year. And now the most famous cryptocurrency has got competitors, Dogecoin and Ethereum. If the crypto market excites you, tune in with me, Sage, to know the latest developments about the existing digital currencies and the new ones that are joining the race. I'll help you understand the opportunities and the risks the crypto market has in store for you. For all the digital currency related developments, continue watching Crypto Talk by 𝐾𝐤𝐴. Welcome back, viewers. Sage here. You're watching 𝐾𝐤𝐴 TV live from Sydney, and this is the Global Markets Roundup show. Let us now start with the European markets. Just as promised, European stocks rose for a third session on Thursday, and the European Central Bank pledged to keep interest rates at record lows for even longer. On the other side, strong corporate earnings underpinned optimism about an economic recovery, and the Eurozone shares rose as much as 1.2%. The central bank said it would not hike rates until it sees inflation reach its 2% target, and well ahead of the end of its projection zone and durably. The index closed up 0.8%. The Eurozone bond yields fell and Italian yields briefly touched their lowest in over 3 months on Thursday. And this happened after the ECB President Christine Lagarde elaborated on a new target that will keep rates at record lows for longer. The European Central Bank in its first official policy statement since it tweaked its inflation target, pledged not to hike borrowing costs until it sees inflation reach its 2% target, well ahead of the end of its projection horizon and durably. And next in this segment, let us look at the UK markets. Well, the London markets traded on a mixed note after the European Central Bank had indicated bond buying at an elevated rate. The FTSE 250 listed Howden Joinery Group shares grew by about 2.91%. And the company had witnessed a positive turnaround and swung back to profitability during the first half, followed by strong sales growth. FMCG giant Unilever had reduced the full-year operating margin forecasts due to the increase in costs. Moreover, it had registered an underlying revenue growth of around 5.4% during the first half, and furthermore, Unilever shares plunged by around 5.41%. Let's move on now from the UK over to the Chinese market. China's shares rose on Thursday, and gains in financials and materials firms outweighed losses in the healthcare stocks. Moreover, foreign investors extended net buying of A shares through the Stock Connect scheme into a fourth consecutive day. At the close, the Shanghai Composite Index was up 0.34%. Let's now take a look at the South Korean market and how it fared last night. South Korean shares closed over 1% higher on Thursday, marking their best day in 2 months, and optimism over earnings outweighed news that the country reported a record jump in new COVID-19 cases. The benchmark KOSPI ended up 1.07%. And that's how the European and the Asian market performed yesterday. It is time for another short break, but please stay tuned. We'll be taking a look at the Australian stock market. So we'll be back right after this. Welcome back, I'm Sage and you're watching 𝐊𝐿𝐴 TV live from Sydney. This is the Global Markets Roundup show. Let's now take a look at the Australian share market's performance. The Australian share market is under pressure on Friday, even as the US shares closed higher overnight. However, earlier in the day, Wall Street witnessed choppy trading after the latest data showed a rise in jobless claims as the economy faces challenges due to the coronavirus pandemic. The Australian dollar bounced, having hit an 8-month trough overnight, and energy stocks such as Viva Energy Group, Santos and Woodside Petroleum could rise today. The gold mining stocks such as Northern Star Resources and Silver Lake Resources should be on the watch as well. And lastly in the show today, here is some news on the economic front. The Australian Bureau of Statistics will release data on the longitudinal labour force. And that's all for now. Hopefully that has been useful to you. Please stay tuned with 𝐊𝐿𝐴 TV for more live market updates. We'll be back with more news on the markets, economy and diverse themes and sectors. Sage signing off.